Yeah, so I'm with Redeux Energy. We're a utility scale renewable developer. We do large scale solar and battery projects. So we focus on like the big ones that are like 1,000, 2,000 acre solar farms. And we are all across the US, and we're continuing to build the company out. And my role is Director of Project Management, or our PMO. And we focused on kind of building out the infrastructure of processes across the company to make sure that we can execute at scale. And then with that, we also focus on putting best in class processes with tools and software. So that's where OnePlan comes in. We've used that to kind of build out how we manage all that work to get those projects in our pipeline, and then de-risk them and develop them. For us, we were a startup company, right? So we were at a point in our growth where we were coming from a lot of just disjointed tools. We were in like Google this, Word, Smartsheet, and we just were all over the place. So our first objective was really just to consolidate and find like a unified platform to transition and grow our company in so we could scale. So we actually were coming from Smartsheet. We had started building things in Smartsheet. And I think what we were struggling with Smartsheet was that it's a very flexible tool, and I think they've done a really good job so you can customize it to be whatever you want. But then it was really hard to like standardize on something. So you'd have all these sheets everywhere, and you had to like really go manually connect them and spend a lot of time just administering it to get it to be what you wanted. And I think OnePlan gives a much better framework, for a portfolio management tool. So that solved the Smartsheet problem. The other things we were looking at were, Microsoft Project and things like that. But again, it was kind of trying to find the right balance. So we felt like Project for the Web was maybe a little too light, Project Online and some of the bigger ones maybe a little too like prescriptive. And then lastly, like my background is largely, large capital projects. So we did a lot of like Primavera P6 scheduling, which is really big, really robust. I think still an amazing tool, but you need a lot of commitment and people, I think, to do it right on that type of software. What we didn't want to do is just overdo it, right? Where then no one could use the tool and it was just like a complete burden. And I think that's where OnePlan fits a really nice niche, is that it kind of can meet in the middle between those extremes. And you can bring in some really strong scheduling pieces along with some really easy scheduling pieces, and you can do both also. So Microsoft is where we kind of like we're leading to just as a company, so we could get on Teams and use Outlook and all their platform of tools. And then we also figured if we were going to do that, we also knew we were going to have to advance our project management systems to get where we wanted to as we scaled. So we started looking at Microsoft Project and all those types of tool sets. We looked at other non-Microsoft ones, but we kind of heavily leaned towards consolidating on some sort of Microsoft framework. And that's when we actually just kind of like bumped into OnePlan. It was like a lucky find, if you want to call it that. But then we kind of got in there and we were just like, actually, this hits a lot of our needs, and there's a lot of flexibility within the tool to be able to meet like all the pieces in our process at different levels. So it fit the need really well. And then once we kind of figured out how we were going to merge the whole transition into that Microsoft platform, we just built OnePlan in as part of that scope. For us, it was basically standardization and getting all of our processes. We spent a lot of time, even before we got to OnePlan, building processes within Redeux so that we had a really good framework to execute our work and scale. So what we needed was somewhere for that to like live, right? Somewhere so that like our users could interact with the process, stay on track, make sure they were progressing the business as we expected. So OnePlan, we were able to build the tool set to like track all those pieces in our workflow, if you will, and then all of the users could interface with it directly. I mean, from a user standpoint, the best thing is just being able to point people to one thing. Yes, you can do your work however you want to do it, but like OnePlan is our kind of our source of truth. So you need to go make sure you're updating everything there. You need to make sure things are staying up to date. So for our users, it's really important to have like one place you can keep pointing them to. So that's been big. But I think with that, then it enables us to have like real-time information, right? So we're able to actually pull reports live and either send those up to the CEO or the board, and we're actually able to like really prove that we're using this and people are in the tools working it. And then, there's a lot of trust that comes with that then, that we're actually doing all the work we want to be doing. So real-time data is probably key. Success in my role, I think, really is being able to have a tool set, but really something that enables my entire organization to work with our team so that everyone feels like their work is being valued. They have a way to communicate that across the organization and bridge all of our processes together. So for me, the success is that ability of making sure everything's coming together how we want it to be as efficient and effective as a company. The best metric that we've started to implement, and we've really been building it this year. Last year we were focused more on just like pretty standard project management, keeping things on schedule and keeping them on track. But we've started to build within our organization kind of the project management of the front end processes. So the work to go find these projects and get new projects started. So with that, we've been really making sure that like we can do that predictably, which is a hard thing to do because it's such an agile thing to go talk to landowners and really solve for these project needs. But we're starting to be able to build that in kind of a modular approach so that then we can kind of track if those front end efforts are on track, meeting our needs to be able to get new projects on our books. I think the big thing I would say, working with OnePlan is it's a really good tool as it stands today, but one of the best parts about OnePlan is that it's evolving and our feedback is heard and the tool just keeps growing and improving, and there's a lot of it like investment behind that and just continuing to make the tool what the users want it to be.